Log base 2 of x equals 1/2. Circle of logs comes in handy. So you take your log, you write it as an exponent, you got 2 to the 1/2 power, and either you know what that means or you don't. That means the square root of 2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. Okay, next up, a whole bunch of little facts about logs that we should practice, like for instance, what is log base 3 of 1? Don't say it. I'm going to give you an A, B, C, D, and they should come really easy. Log base 3 of 1/3, which freaks people out sometimes. Part C is log base 3 of -3. And part D is 4 log base 2 of 2. There's 2 different ways to do those. All right. So you've got 1 the argument, 0. You've got, I wish this was a 3. Oh, it can be a 3. It'd be a 3 to the -1, and then the answer is the power. These bases are the same, so it's kind of a trick. See, it feels like you should just have like an answer of like -1 or something. What's the actual answer? No solution. That does not exist because that's breaking the domain. You can't have negative numbers in the argument. Okay, how about this last one? Did anybody think about how this 4 could go as a power on the 2? That's a good thing to think, because then the bases are the same, and the answer is the exponent, which would be 4. There's another way to do it, but I'm just reminding you of the power rule. All right, next thing about logs I want you to remember is that you can add them. Log base 2 of x plus log base 2 of 5. Combine those two, because I gave you a steadfast, simple rule. If you can combine them, you should. Jaden, is this the kind where the 5 and the x get multiplied? Yeah. So log base 2 of 5x. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. Now say equals 3. And solve it. This skill will be used the most out of all the things that you could know. You need to know the circle of logs. 2 to the 3rd. 8 equals 5x. Check with the kid next to you, please. All right. So, did anybody even think about checking to see if this would work? Because if it doesn't, and then it's like a big gotcha, which means that it's extraneous, Did you? If you didn't check it before, check it now. Is it breaking any rules to put an 8/5 right there? No, it's not. So then it's okay. What you're really looking for is, did this by chance make it negative up there? And by the way, if there was a 1 minus x, it would have made it negative up there. So you needed to check. So double check that, especially on logs. If your answer comes out in a way that doesn't work, then you got to cross it off and put ext. That was not the case this time. I'm just reminding you. That was on your last test. You can figure it's probably on this test. Okay, now let's take a minute and, if you would, please download this. This is the Cumulative Review Part 2. It's in the folder for today and for Friday. It's one of the worksheets that I asked you to do some practice on. We're just going to pick a few problems on there and do a few together. And then the rest of this hour is going to be spent with you. A lot of kids are going to, wisely, ask to see their last 2 tests. And they're going to go, okay, what did I get wrong last time on this test? And I got these 2 wrong, and I'm going to fix them because, number 1, it helps you be ready for the cumulative. And number 2, if you don't take the time to correct your old mistakes, then I won't give you the credit for the new one. There's a lot of classes you have to do a lot of work to qualify for a retake. Like in science, they make you do like a whole packet, not every science class, depends on the class, but you have to do like a whole packet to qualify for a retake. All we ask you to do is make corrections on the ones you got wrong, and it makes sense, you should do that anyways. Now on the corrections, you just have to do it on a separate sheet. It could be a blank piece of paper of yours, I can give you blank paper, or I even have a little form that says retakes on top. 2 corrections on a separate sheet, and then you qualify. All right, so you may want to do that later this hour. All right, by now you've found this document. I'd like you to do this one. Just real quick. If you know how to do these, this should be a snap. The way I do this is 6 times 7, x to the 7, over 7, and then I realize this x to the -3rd, it would actually be better if I moved it up to the top and made it x to the +3 on top. Did you know you could do that? That's the way I get rid of my negative exponents. And then as soon as you got this, it'll be obvious that that cancels that. And then you either know that this is 6x to the 10th or you don't. And then if you don't, then you should ask me about how to practice for powers. 6x to the 10. Raise your hand if you had 6x to the 10. Nice. Let's go on to this one. It's got a lot of things, and people are like, oh, put it to the 3/2 power. Not yet. Not yet. What do you do first? Add 1. Then you could put it to the 3/2. Give it a shot. Try this one, please. Number 5. And I bet you some of you messed up right here. Did you remember I just square rooted both sides, so I need an absolute value? Raise your hand if you won. Cool. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 to the third is 27. And then I'd break it up into two parts. X minus 5 equals 27, and x minus 5 equals negative 27. But I'm going to be suspicious, because I want to make sure that it doesn't die if I put in a negative. Is this the kind I got to worry about? Well, it depends. Do you get if there was a 2 on the bottom? If there was a 2 on the bottom, that would be a square root, and then this can't be negative because you can't do a square root of a negative. So, yeah, you can't even just say, oh, this isn't the log, so I don't have to worry about it. No, it might not work, even in here. So, yes, you should check it. What you're checking for, though, is, did I have to take a square root of a negative? And no, I didn't, because this was not a square root. It was an odd root. And you can do odd roots. Just to clarify, if I add negative 8 and somebody asked me to do odd root of it, it's not like illegal. I can do that. Answer's negative 2. So it's only square roots that could cause a problem. All right. Let's go down to this one. Everybody try number 12. Just do it right on your worksheet. That you can turn this in later as part of the proof that you practiced. But I'm going to know that I did like 4 weeks of the class, so if you only did like 4, then that means you didn't do any by yourself. Right away, I'm thinking, is there any way to make these bases the same? No, so that's not it. Then I think rewrite. X over 2 to the third equals 8. Then I think, how do I get that third off of there? To the power of 1/3. And that's 2. Is it 2 and negative 2? No, it's not. If I had an even root, I'd be thinking about absolute values and getting 2 answers. But I didn't. So it's just plain x over 2. Times by 2 on both sides. Did you get 4? Raise your hand if you had 4. Good. Okay, any questions? So, what's today for? It's your last day of review for a very important cumulative. I saw one kid sitting in my class last hour. He's just talking and having a great time, just like unusual conversations with friends and everything. And that would have been fine if he was at a straight A. But, you know, with B's on the last 2 tests, I was thinking, man, this is your last chance. And with B's on the last 2 tests, you could really make a big difference tomorrow by getting an A and raising them all to A's. But, so I'd take it seriously if I were you. But it is your life. You get to decide these things. So I'm going to have those tests, both stacks, out. We're going to make logs over here on this desk, and over on that desk we'll have exponentials. All right, so if you want the logs test from when we had the most recent test, it'll be sitting right up here, and exponentials will be over there. If you want to grab your test, I'll also put a stack of little correction sheets next to it if you want to do corrections. And then if you want help, please know that there's only one of me, and I'll be busy all hour, which is awesome. You guys keep on asking questions. That's what you should do. But there's other kids in the room, and a lot of them are very good at math, and they might know this one that you don't. Please ask a kid before me. Just try one kid before me. Okay? And if that kid doesn't know how to do it, come and see me. All right, and that's all I got for you for today.